Hey friends, today we're drawing the rose, which is one of the most famous flowers ever. I mean, everybody knows what a rose is. They're pretty magical. They're not the easiest flower to draw, I will say that, but I have broken it down into simple shapes and I hope I made it a little bit easier for you. So the other thing you can do is download the PDF that goes along with this video. It is in the description box and that'll make it way easier to sort of follow step by step. And you can also get the supply list down in the description box as well. If you want to see the drawings that everyone has done from this floral drawing series, we're posting to the hashtag Watts Floral Series on Instagram, and it's super fun to check out what everyone has done from this series. Okay, so let's get started drawing the rose. Okay, so as usual, I have some reference for the rose, and we've got a couple of nice 3/4 views and then the closed version of the rose. We'll be drawing a 3/4 view for this video. And I think the biggest thing when drawing a rose is to let it be kind of organic. They don't all follow the same rules. The petals always look a little bit different in each rose. You know, I think what it is that the petals don't always look the same because you're often looking at the flipped over belly side of the petal. And so they just take on different shapes as they curl over. And I think that a really good way to start off with a rose is to kind of like do some sketches and be a little bit loose with it and kind of like it's got to be a little bit organic because the structure of a rose, it generally follows, you know, this cinnamon bun kind of swirly tornado situation. But at the end of the day, all the petals just don't look the same. So I like to kind of do some stylized roses from the top view to kind of get myself used to drawing them, right? So oftentimes that's this swirly curled up petal situation. It's like a petal party. And you just slowly let them cascade out from that center, right? So that's like a stylized top view of a rose, and that kind of just helps me to get kind of loose with it. And when you do a 3/4 view, it's that same kind of concept, like everything's sort of uncurling from this tightly compacted petal party in the middle, and they slowly start peeling back and taking on strange potato chip forms until they stop, right? So the underlying structure of a rose, I have found it to be a wine glass sitting on a little plate. And if you haven't seen the first video of this floral drawing series, I definitely recommend seeing that. I kind of break all of my flowers down into common kitchen objects to make them easier to draw. So we have a wine glass shape, and it's sort of sitting on a small plate. And this is the structure that I start with a 3/4 view of a rose. Now this wine glass is filled with curled up petals, right? And then from there, they start to peel off of this cylinder shape. So I like to start with kind of a staircase pattern in the front, right? And then this one will give us kind of a jumping point. So you've got these petals sort of peeling off of that wine glass shape, and then they start to lay on their back side to create this plate shape, right? So oftentimes, again, like when you're drawing a rose, you're seeing that underbelly side of it flipping out. So this is like originally was in the inside. And I think that's what makes it kind of tricky because you're not always drawing a clear petal shape. You're often drawing a foreshortened petal or like a side view that's kind of curled over. So you just kind of make the basic shape, but then let it be a little bit of a you know, tornado petal situation. And you can see that staircase pattern happening even more in this flower. So from here, these will sort of have a curled over view of that bottom, you know, that inside of the petal. So I'll make those kind of shapes. And then here we're looking at like the top view of a petal that's, you know, closer to us. It's very foreshortened. And then maybe on the side, you know, you'll have another one where you see a curled over version of it. And then they start to really show you, like, show more of the underbelly side. So that's when, you know, some very strange shapes start to happen. Like here, you know, that shape, if it was drawn by itself, looks like this. You're like, that does not look like a petal. But it's because we're seeing it kind of curling over. And that's why whenever I'm drawing roses, I'm like, you just gotta, you know, let it be organic and fun. Okay. Oh, see, that's the flower we're drawing. Okay, I'm done. Just kidding. Okay, so just keep drawing. And then you can put your stem. Okay, so that's kind of the sketch that I start with for a 3/4 view of a rose. And then what I like to do is erase it and make it lighter, and then go in and ink it with some more definitive lines to kind of make it more finished. Okay, so here I have a sketch of the rose, and I left it a little bit darker so that you can see it on the video. But normally I would kind of erase this out and ink on it so I could kind of see the ink a little bit better. All right, so for this video, I'm going to use the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen, and this is the hard tip version. And for these videos, I've been drawing things with a pen that has a consistent line weight, and then I go in and add some thickness to some of the edges to give it a little bit more dimension. Okay, so I like to start with the beginning, and when we're inking that center part of the rose, just think of it as this kind of coiled shape in the center that kind of goes around in circles. And then next we have these petals. We're seeing the side view of them. And then you've got the underbelly of this petal. And now we're going to start using those petals that fold over. To create that staircase pattern in the front. Now we're going to draw the sides of these curled over petals, and then we'll draw the next layer of curled over petals. Okay, and then you would see the other edge of this one sort of wrapping around that wine glass shape, and same here. Okay. A lot like, yeah, like potato chips. A tornado of potato chip petals. Oh my goodness. So we're seeing the underbelly of this petal back here. And then as we get into this next layer, we're really seeing the top view of this petal before these start to really lay out. They're getting some sun. These petals are. Okay. And this is definitely just one way to draw a rose, but I love drawing a 3/4 view where you really get that wrapped petal effect in the front, those overlapping petals. It's just that beautiful view of a rose that I love so much. Okay, get some of these side petals. And you can kind of tell they're getting larger and larger as they come out. And lots of little notches and bumps. Not really a consistent shape because of that curl over effect that happens when they grow. Okay, and then we've got this last one. All right, and now to the stem. I like to give my stems just a little bit of an S curve. And the leaves on a rose have these little spiky edges. Like that. Okay, so now I'm going to speed up the video and just add some thickness to some of these areas so that we can give this drawing a more finished look. Okay, so there you have it. There's my line drawing of a rose. There's so many different ways that you can draw a rose, but I hope this one way of a slightly more complicated view kind of makes the other ones a little bit easier. I loved teaching you how I draw a rose, and I hope so much that you follow my channel, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is Watsalot. And that's it for today. I'll see you on the next video.